Rain fanned across my back, soaking the collar of my shirt, a sharp chill slipping down my spine as I stood beneath the dull orange light outside the gallery. The blue plastic portfolio in my hand felt heavier with each passing minute, weighed down by all the polite headshakes and thin-lipped smiles inside. A shattered hope lingered at the corner of my mouth, one I refused to swallow, no matter how bitter. A man from the gallery, older, bespectacled, voice thick with São Paulo's nighttime humidity, had just handed my game proposal back with a quiet apology. "It's too niche," he'd explained, fingers drumming against my hand. "Maybe something more traditional would suit the audience better." Outside, the words replayed, the sound of his rejection echoing between the honking cars and the rumble of distant thunder overhead. I lingered there, my proposal pages wet at the edges, colors bleeding where digital art met damp air. A drizzle ran down my temple and off the tip of my nose. For a moment, I convinced myself that I was only shielding my laptop from the rain, not from the embarrassment clinging to me like a second skin. Down the street, under a flickering neon sign, I spotted the familiar curve of my brother's back. He leaned against the wall, half sheltered by an awning, the glow of his phone illuminating his face. I allowed myself a moment's hesitation before approaching. He asked before I even reached him. His voice sounded eager, but the upturned corner of his mouth carried a twist of amusement beneath it. They said it wasn't what they were looking for. He pocketed his phone and shrugged. "What did you expect, Daniel? You're not going to make it out of this city with a sci-fi game about old apartment blocks. No one will play something that weird." His words were softened by the way he ruffled my hair after. I pulled away. "Just because you don't get it," he cut me off with a clap on the shoulder. "Let's go home before you catch pneumonia. Come on, Papaya's waiting." The rain threaded through my hair, the streetlights painting orange halos across puddles, as we walked back to our family's small apartment on Rua Augusta. Every step felt like a retreat. I kept my eyes straight ahead, ignoring the way passers-by stared at my ruined folder. Their curiosity stung almost as much as the rejection. At home, the air smelled of old wood and fried onions. My mother greeted us with a look that hovered between relief and annoyance. "Did it go well?" she murmured in Portuguese, already knowing the answer by the slouch in my shoulders. "It was fine, Mai," I lied, pushing past her to the room I'd shared with Lucas since childhood. The yellow paint chipped above our beds, pulled apart by years and too many hands tracing dreams onto the walls. I slid onto the mattress, letting the soaked portfolio press into my stomach. A part of me wanted to cry, but I swallowed it down. I'd been mocked before, and I knew the taste would turn sour quickly. Dinner was a silent affair. My father's eyes met mine once, curious, disappointed, but he said nothing. Above the clatter of cutlery and the TV murmuring weather warnings, the unspoken question haunted me. "Why don't you take a real job, Daniel?" After Lucas excused himself to go out, I caught a fragment of his call through the thin bedroom wall. Yeah, he's still stuck on that game. I told him he should have studied something practical. He chuckled, words muffled by the sound of his lighter flicking open. Later, in the dark, I scrolled through my prototype on the battered laptop. My game, a side-scroller that climbed São Paulo's sprawl, pixel brick by pixel brick, exploring memory and loneliness inside forgotten concrete talos, flickered across the cracked screen. Each asset, every sprite felt intimate, desperate to exist. That night, grief and clarity twisted in my chest. It was grief for the acceptance I wanted, not from strangers, but from my own blood, and clarity that I could not let this one rejection be the end. If the gallery wanted traditional, I would find someone, somewhere, who wanted what I had to give. The next weeks bled together. I woke before sunrise, dragged myself through freelance web gigs to pay rent. Then spent hours coding in cafe corners, sipping stale coffee to justify my presence. São Paulo's bustle became both a comfort and a threat, always threatening to swallow me whole if I stopped moving. Months slipped by. Job rejections piled up. I brought the prototype to other small expos, indie meetups, even an old friend from university who now ran an art magazine. Each time, the answer was the same. Money's in business apps, not passion projects. Mai asked when I would start helping with the bills. Papai suggested, try working for a bank. Banks are safe. My own voice grew thin in response. I spent more time at the pub down the street, listening as my old friends laughed about grown-up lives, marriage, kids, promotions, while I drew game environments on napkins, hiding the trembling in my hands. One night, as thunder rolled through the city and the rain came down in sheets yet again, it all reached a breaking point. I sat in my room, the only light coming from my monitor. The code on the screen blurred as tears threatened, but I refused to let them spill. I uploaded the latest prototype to an indie forum, heart pounding with a stubbornness that surprised me. It can't end like this. My post, poorly titled but hopeful, ended with, if you want to see a piece of São Paulo in digital form, try it. Any feedback at all appreciated. I closed my laptop, not expecting anything. Morning found me with sun in my eyes, dragging me from fitful dreams. My phone buzzed with notifications. At first, spam, then a message titled, Your game moved me. The sender was a Brazilian-American streamer I'd followed for years. They wrote, I lived in Copen as a child. Your levels felt like home. Let's talk. I have a platform, and I think others need to see this. I blinked at the words, half disbelieving, half exultant. Suddenly, there was a reason to sit up straighter. From there, the momentum changed. The streamer played my prototype live, racking up tens of thousands of views, their chat lit up with excitement. São Paulo kids messaged me, saying they saw their own lives in the pixelated favelas and the dark metro tunnels. One user from Japan, of all places, donated enough for new hardware. There were critiques, yes, bugs, pacing, challenges, but real, useful words that treated my creation seriously. I started tightening the code, improving the art, pushing updates day and night. Other indie devs reached out. An editor at a gaming magazine asked for an interview. Someone on the board at a small publisher in Santa Cecilia offered to help me finish in exchange for a cut. It wasn't glamorous, payment would be deferred, success far from assured. But for the first time, there was a path, paved not by the family or traditional jobs, but by the messy, sometimes brutal honesty of strangers who cared. Returning home late one night, muscles stiff, I found my mother waiting at the table. A plate of reheated feijão simmered quietly as she asked, softly, You've been working at something. I see it in your eyes. Is it going well? I nodded, unsure how to explain the glimmer of possibility without sounding delusional. People are noticing maybe I have a chance. She smiled, her thumb tracing the edge of my hand the way she used to when I was sick. Don't forget to eat, Daniel. We may not always understand, but we want you fed. It wasn't acceptance, not really. But it wasn't ridicule either. For the first time in years, I let myself hope. The months became a collage of deadlines and debugging, my life shrinking to the glow of my monitor and the slowly growing fan base online. My family still didn't get it. Papai sighed at my odd hours. Lucas rolled his eyes at anything I posted about the game's Twitter account. But as my updates became more frequent and my phone buzzed with notifications at all hours, their jokes turned wary. 2 years slipped by, each day marked by small sacrifices, a birthday missed, a party skipped, all for a dream they couldn't see. Then, as July brought a rare chill to the city, the publisher called with news that made my knees buckle. Steam wants to feature you. It's not one of those huge banners, but your game's unique, Daniel. It's yours. I stood there in the kitchen, hands shaking, as the reality set in. My game, my silly, unwelcome, ridiculous game, would be seen worldwide. Release week was chaos. Every muscle stayed tense, dread gnawing at me between moments of pride. I waited for it all to collapse. But messages flooded in. Kids from Recife making fan art, journalists asking for comment. A small but surging tide of purchases. I started seeing my pixel buildings in strangers' tweets. I spent each night refreshing the page, watching numbers creep higher, reviews climbing past 100, then 500, then 1,000, each one a voice saying I mattered. I did it alone at first, unwilling to share it with my family, not sure I wanted to hand them proof just yet. But proof has a way of breaking through. On the Sunday after launch, Papai called me to the kitchen, a line drawn between worry and frustration in his brow. He held his phone awkwardly. "Did you see this, filho?" He turned the screen to me, a headline emblazoned with my game's name, next to my own sheepish, unshaven face. Indie dev brings São Paulo's skyline to gamers across the world. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Yeah, that's me. Lucas ambled in, sleep must. When he saw the screen, his smirk didn't come. Instead, he looked at me, then at Papai's phone, thoughtfully. "I always thought you'd outgrow that," he said quietly. "Guess I was wrong." May clapped her hands together, pride and disbelief wrestling in her eyes. "Meu filho, are you happy?" It hit me then, all at once. The tears I'd swallowed, the doubts I'd choked down, resurfaced as a tight ache in my throat. I nodded, unable to say anything else. The following weeks, life cinched itself around a new rhythm, interviews, support emails, a new patch here, a small paycheck there. Nothing fancy, but mine. Local press wrote about the game as if I'd put São Paulo on the map, though the city had always